Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Poetry Room at City Lights. I'm Peter Maravellis, your host. And for those of you online, welcome to you too. As always, we are beaming to you from the unceded ancestral homelands of the Ramaytush peoples. I just want to take a moment to acknowledge those who've come before us as stewards of the land, and it is a great honor and a privilege always to be able to do so. Uh, as many of you know, City Lights is the great home of Indy presses. It's something that we've, since the inception of City Lights, have loved to feature. And of course, El Martillo Press is right now a press that we really have our eyes on and are delighted to be able to host this event and place a spotlight on some wonderful, wonderful curation. I am now going to bring out my colleague, Solomon Reno, to do the honors. Give him a warm welcome.
Thank you, Peter. We're very happy to have El Martillo here tonight. We had featured El Martillo as a small press on our featured small presses shelf, but it's nice to finally have everybody in the house and reading live. El Martillo was started in 2023 by Matt Sedillo and David A. Romero. Immediate success with Paul Flores' book, which won the American Book Award. Congratulations. I want to mention a few anthologies that El Martillo's put out. Venice to Venice, clearly the LA-Italy connection. Ashe, a collection of Cuban poetry. And most recently, Look What I Did About Your Vow of Silence, which has it's bilingual, Spanish, Macedonian, Italian, Hungarian, and it shows the international connection that El Martillo is trying to make with all of these other countries, building a bridge between here and elsewhere. Forthcoming books from El Martillo, from El Martillo are from Margaret Elysia Garcia and Lorna Dee Cervantes. And it's a pleasure to have Lorna Dee Cervantes here tonight because, as I said, I believe you've read almost everywhere but City Lights. So welcome. And you were born here. Warm welcome to El Martillo. I'd like to invite Matt or David, or both of you. Thank you.
Please, a big round of applause to Solomon Reno and everyone here at City Lights for hosting us this evening. Thank you so much. So my name's David A. Romero. I'm honored to be the co-founder and editor-in-chief of El Martillo Press. Yeah, that's exciting, right? I actually didn't print out Matt's bio, but I want to say some kind things about Matt Sedillo, co-founder and CEO of El Martillo Press. El Martillo exists because of Matt Sedillo's vision. Matt Sedillo is a tireless organizer. If you Google the phrase "best political poet in America," his face shows up, multiple pictures, and for good reason. Ever since I've met Matt Sedillo, my background was in grassroots organizing and in activism. And when I met Matt Sedillo, I was struck by the profundity of his thought, by the depth of his political knowledge. It's just incredible. And his natural capacity for poetry, a capacity that he's honed and refined over the years, just to an incredible degree. He's performed in Italy, in Cuba, in France, in Canada, and just, so many more. So many more countries. He was awarded the Dante's Laurel. They put a wreath on his head at the tomb of Dante Alighieri. So very, very profound. And in that way, he is seen as a Dante Alighieri for our times. You know, a cultural critic, as it were, a firebrand, fearless. So yeah, do you want to hear a poem by Matt Sedillo? One poem? Yeah, let's bring him up. Let's have him do a poem for us.
That was a little unexpected. Okay. One more time for David A. Romero. I mean, David himself has read in 34 states. He's been published in Scotland. He's read in Italy. He's read in Mexico. He's read in France. He's read in many different countries. And he's really the one that puts the books together. He's really the one that is really the driving force behind this. And he's a lot of things he could do at this time, but he really devotes himself to being part of the poetry community and really shouldering that on his shoulders. So one more time, a round of applause for David Romero. I'll do a quick poem, then I'll introduce our first poet, and then I guess we'll me and Dave will rotate. Yeah. So I had the opportunity to read at the Medellin Poetry Festival, which is like one of the largest poetry festivals in the world. There was 80 poets there from 40 different countries, and nowhere in the world do poets respect time. So people there were dancing, and they had a color guard, and whatever. I thought I was going to get called, but finally they said my name and said we're bringing up un poeta de Estados Unidos, and I said, well, I come here to represent Estados Unidos. So I said, este poema es para mi gente los Chicanos y para mi patria Aslan. So this is the poem I did. It's called Chicano. Here we go. Chicano poet sits at a desk and attempts to pen an anthem, a classic, grasping the epic of economics, demographics, the fear of a brown nation on a bronze continent, the motive engine. And the beating heart of the Mexican question, Chicano condition, that's not lost in a land of confusion, American neurosis, and Hispanic serving institution. Chicano poet sits at a desk and attempts to dive into ink and parchment and letter. An honest ledger of wins and losses, martyrs and marches, the mothers of East Los Angeles, crusades for justice, justice for janitors, the Justice 8, Los Siete, La Raza, the Boulder 6, the Vasquez Rocks, the Silver Dollar. Chicano poet sits at a desk and attempts. Aranchero, Vaquero, Bandito, Guarblanco, Presero, Pachuco, brown beret, inmate, cholo, vato, loco, pocho, no sabo, kid, son and heir to all I have seen, been taught to forget the crimes they commit, then omit from the text. I changed the law when they stole the land. I taught our kids they'll no claim too much space to change their names. Come along way to nowhere. Saw a Chicano poet sit at a desk and attempt a hope, a dream, a prayer. I spend my days and nights scouring the archives of lost tribe. To see that a history and culture they could find, and called it home. They carry the moon in my heart, wear my heart on my sleeve, and enshrine our heroes in these poems. The Corona, the Puna, the Niuca, Caesar, Dolores, Gomez, Quiñones, the plan de Santa Barbara, San Diego, Catalina, La Tierra, Amaria, a Tejarina, a Lorista, a UDP, CSO, ATM, a rifle, and a press, a pen, and a sword. Flores en el Gangi, Flores Magonis, 500 years and 500 more. Batista, Cortino, Vito, Mesta Morena, Barrera, Cabrera, Ala, Carrasco, Cardona, Muñoz, Muniz, Ruiz, La Raza, La Crónica, Religión, Luce, Asigue, Asitli, Rodriguez. I return to the corn. I Corky, I walk in, and I look the same, and I feel the same, and I've survived centuries of genocide and war, racist politicians, right militias, surrealist evidence, with a name, it's a question, amiento, siantil, a Chicano, this land, and I shall endure. So I'm going to call this first poet up. This poet, is a poet from Southern California. She's the author of Loose Lips, Prickly Pear Publishing, and Everything Returns to the Soil from Flower Song Press in 2021. Her work has been published in anthologies, Somos Chicanas, Reimagine America, and Beat Not Beat, as well as on websites and literary journals, Cultural Daily, the Oakland Arts Review, Dryland Literary Journal, Angel City Review, and several other publications. Briana Muñoz is the founder of Poetry is Harm Reduction and currently serves as a member of the board of directors of the Los Angeles Poetry Society. She's performed poetry in places like the International Poetry Festival of Havana, Cuba, the 2015 Festival de Poesía at Tijuana, Baja California, Mexico, as well as at the 21st Congreso Internacional de Literatura y Estudios Hispánicos in Quito, Ecuador. She currently lives in Southern California with her partner and child. And let me tell you something about Briana. Briana once held a seance in this room, manifesting that one day we would come read here. And today is that day. Briana Muñoz, take stage.
Thank you. They talk about that every time I see them. Remember when you held a seance at City Lights? Thank you so much. It's truly an honor to read here tonight. Thank you to City Lights staff and personnel and Matt and David. They're incredible poets and now my publisher. I wanted to start with a new poem, and then I'll move over to read from my newest collection, Matriarchy. I had an experience recently where I was sitting on the couch in the safety of my home with my little one, and I heard a siren coming closer and closer, and then another siren coming closer and closer, and she says, "Mom, I hear something." So I said, yeah, I do too. Let's check that out. I look outside and there is a bunch of fire trucks. And then I see a house just engulfed in flames, maybe 4 homes down. And it's just been a really bizarre experience being on the observer side of that. This is titled How to Burn a House Down in the Suburbs, and it's like I'm instructing the fire on what to do. Choose the only house who plays corridos on a Saturday, the one with a Raiders banner and children playing on scooters in the front yard. Let your ember plant itself at the bottom of the savings account that has taken 31,200 hours to earn, compared to the neighbors whose was acquired by generational wealth. Wait until the man of the house is picking up the kids from his mother-in-law's after a 12-hour shift because his wife has to stay at the office late again tonight. And only after several calls over the span of 9 months to the only technician they can afford, then set yourself ablaze. Fuel yourself with family heirlooms and important documents. Burn brighter as the neighbors who have never bothered to introduce themselves flock to the house in flames with their dogs and their kids to witness the spectacle of a house fire for their evening entertainment, with no concern for the dioxins or benzene that temporarily pollute the suburb air. Remember, throughout your performance, home fires as industry, and that pockets will be lined for the same heartbreak of a family left with very little. But because there is no pretty way to present that's interesting. Do not repeat this to the public. Once the fire department has spent hours wrestling with their cranes and hose and the onlookers retreat home, go ahead and heal like a puppy dog left with little energy after intense play. The morning after, the vultures who profit will loiter outside the home. They'll discuss golf or travel, anything but the interest of the family who is forced to rebuild. Predatory restoration companies will obtain cell phone number info from the fire reports made public and harass for a sale with no shame or regard. The home itself will sit with boarded windows for weeks, maybe months, through Christmas and birthdays. Allow yourself a smile, real smug. This event may be forgotten by the community, but is guaranteed to follow this family throughout their life, into therapy sessions, into bad relationships. And when you think you are done with your work here, move over to the overcrowding of Los Angeles multifamily complexes. Thank you. I'm gonna read my newest book is titled Matriarchy: Sacred Poems. So I'm gonna read some sacred poems for you tonight. Sex is ceremony. In the quiet of the night, the New Mexican moon shines through the skylight window of our adobe casita, illuminates every curve of your body. We hear only an occasional car drive past or our puppy dog snoring. The religious statues in our courtyard, left by the previous tenants, bless the ceremony of our body's acrobatic performance. My two hands lift your chin up to kiss me, maybe for the first time today. You bite me, accidentally too aggressively, carried away by the same energy that makes our bedsheets glow and shock us from static electricity. I flinch, but I'm distracted quickly from any discomfort as your fingers reach inward and upward. It's late autumn, and the firewood burning from our neighbor's fireplace penetrates our home. From the lack of insulation, the smoke travels skyward, delivering our messages to Goyoshalqui. We are only but two people in this tiny footprint of a vast map, behind walls of an unassuming home, practicing the oldest magic known to man. Thank you. And just last poem here before I hand it off. This is titled Body as Self Ceremony. I take inventory, my fingers, instruments for writing poems, poems that attack gracefully against fascism, against the war. My elbows at dinner, I question who invented table manners, discover this as a class construct, discover taste in my mouth like conquest, breasts. Western culture teaches me to have breasts is to be a devil, temptress, mujer, sin vergüenza, taboo from birth. Birth awakens the ducts to flow liquid gold into the innocence of a baby. Everything about my breasts is natural. Nature is sacred. Therefore, I am. My navel, life source, phantom limb, center of my vessel, I mourn the placenta that was separated from me 30 years ago. Position, taste in my mouth like wary. My ancestors knew this. Modern society grows wary of traditional medicine. Taste in my mouth like big fucking pharma. Pelvis, holy sacrum, cervix, utero, clitoris, clitoris, clitoride, clitoris. Maybe if I spell it in every language, men will find it. Clitoris, taste in my mouth like ceremony. Thighs, disguised as miniskirt, attraction, dictionary. Attraction, a place which draws visitors by providing something of interest or pleasure. The church is the town's main tourist attraction. Thighs built to climb Teotihuacan temples, my body, city of the gods, the most holy land, sunrise ceremony dedicated to the breath I am allowed every day. Thank you, guys.
One more round of applause for Briana Muñoz. Next up, we have Margaret Elysia Garcia. Macondo Fellow Margaret Elysia Garcia is the author of the poetry collection The Daughterland, El Martillo Press 2023, of the short story collection Graft, Tolson Books 2022, and the poetry chapbooks Iconistas and Burn Scars, Lit Kit Collective 2025 and 2022. She's the co-editor of the anthology Red Flag Warning, Mutual Aid and Survival in California's Fire Country, AK Press 2025, a Golden Poppy finalist, she wants to add. So very good. Yeah, that's very nice. Her second short story collection, Chicana Noir, and other stories will be published in 2026 by El Martillo Press. She's the recipient of Chapman University's non-tuition fellowship for creative writing, and she actually helped out one of her pressmates, Cesar K. Avalar, with his advanced education. Let's give a round of applause. Margaret Elysia Garcia.
I forgot my coffee. Okay, first of all, City Lights has always had a special place in my heart. I believe you all carried a horrible zine I wrote when I was 20, and I thank you for that. I was too embarrassed to ever come back and see if any of them sold. So it is such an honor to be here in my favorite bookstore tonight. Yay, bucket list. Also to David and Matt, thank you so much for believing in The Daughterland and Chicana Noir and other stories, which will be out hopefully in March. So I'm going to start with a poem from Daughterland. This was originally in Versace Journal. It's called Spanish. He's finishing his last sentences in Spanish, but he never spoke it with us. He saved it for drinking buddies and brothers, for secrets and music. It was the language of birth, self, derision, and no children or grandchildren were going to be denied bathrooms and bank loans because a different language brought by different conquerors brought us down. He spoke a wry sort of English, limited under his breath, and did not seem to mind that we turned pocha y pocho as we came out, derided as we are by these people called real Mexicans who want their American hyphenated or not at all. But my grandfather doesn't remember English now. Spanish from the hospice bed stings the ear in its sweet exclusionary sound, a lilt of yet one last example of all the distance between us. All right, so thanks to Ariel Gore for helping me with this one. This is from Lit Kit Collective. I assembled this upon the inauguration of someone because I needed, headspace. And when you feel silenced, and I feel strongly for this woman in this particular poem. This is called Iconistas. I have some. Leave Frida alone. She never wanted to come back. Yet we pulled her into pillows and purses, magnets and mouse pads, baby dolls and shawls, wrapping ourselves in that sanguine rebozo. She, a communist, atheist, and we, the church bazaar, sell her totes and tattoos and teas along with La Virgen, and take the knee-high socks in the culture box and litter with glitter art history. She burns saint candle sanitized, baby board book, Frida. Make a wish to your muse of floral paintings and Mona Lisa smiles. Soft focus a frame, Frida. Smooth her threadbare edge and pretend she was never pregnant potential of decay, of desire, and does not smell like cigarettes and missed meals and rotted teeth living off candy treats and the swig of bedside whiskey, living in rarely made beds and unswept floors where those monkeys and those peacocks would have had to have gone. Look, If Frida Kahlo were alive today, she would fuck your husband. And your best girlfriend, too, or probably you, because that's exactly what the real Frida would do. And I would laugh and laugh as you head tilt and question. I'm like, Miss Kahlo, can I have your autograph? Go on, you tell her, you try and tell her she and Diego need better boundaries, couples therapy. You've made her doe-eyed pale and left off the eyebrows, erased her mustache, swaddled and constricted her in happy jungle prints and parrots. Take her palette of vibrant sorrows and leave her alone with your role model tomorrows. And where have you put her corsets and her columns and the blood-dipped arrows of betrayal? Is this what the water was to have brought her? Frida's dress hangs here in our polluted Gringolandia air, those tethered truths still floating above her in the ether of Ford Hospital, stillborn, and your constant, commoditized snips are so very beneath her. And this last poem, I've kind of struggled with how to describe what's going on right now. And so whenever that happens, I return to Anna Akhmatova. And so this is an American Requiem. It's being nice because it's not finished. So hang with me. Quote, flung myself at the hangman's feet, my terror, oh my son, and I can't understand. Now all's eternal confusion, who's beast and who is man. Anna Akhmatova. Oh, beautiful, I recall those clog fog skies, those azure waves and smoke-stacked beach, those metal grasshoppers dredging up the money and the myth. Home is where the grafted palm trees sway. Home is where the heart is mounted and framed. Was it ever paradise before they paved that parking lot? On a stretch of Walmart asphalt, they took him for his obstinance in the face of the faceless, those masked from mother's disappointments. Hey, you can't do that. His coworker kidnapped, his brown throat squeezed. They didn't see his American in front of them. Abracadabra, gone. Him, a small dreamer in a blue apron and a slight discount, like my grandparents who lived blocks away from him for a century, Paramount and Beverly, a tiny stucco house, St. Augustine concrete and plumeria, in the sterile living that their American required. Sleeping now beneath the Rose Hills neon in its purple mountain majesty. 20 and living with his mama, she brought his birth certificate memories and screamed his name in that pink-orange sunset. No phone call, just a ghost land. Ma'am, calm down. Ma'am, you need to calm down. And the shoppers bellied out and filled their carts, and they put her on the news. Tonight I am blue-lipped with cold. Tonight I am too numb to cry. I tried to give my children American, gave them what we could, student loans, allergies, and a shot glass of the family disease. A woman in line asked Anna, can one ever describe this? I can, Anna said, and saw the smile while previously there was just a face, a requiem. I can. Head, shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes. Head, shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes. Black eyes, boxed ears, punched mouth and nose. Dislocated, 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 bodies on the grounds, odds never in our favor, and a mother cannot find her son. People in Pico marched rage to City Hall. Let it out, get them out. The news says they're never seen anything like this. But the abuelos have their stories from the 1930s, and the abuelas are stocking up on candles and saints. And the young man shouldn't have resisted the inhumanity to man. Walmart fires him for being a victim in the wrong workplace at the wrong work time. Step and fetch over the bodies for the yellow happy faces. Such a deal. What is this now? What is this now? What is this now that I should be up before dawn and checking my phone for federal thug raids to tell my students not to leave their apartments if they live near the corner of Abduction and Brown? Enrique, after class, shows me the photo of his son in a children's hospital bed. This is why we're here, he says. They gave his wife a visa. They gave him nothing. So he flew in and worked graveyard shifts, no questions asked. He shows me photos of his graduation, his perfect score of citizenship. Our city is hit hard by unmarked SUVs with his son still in the hospital. And Enrique disappears like magic. We hold vigil for him in class. Me, the Peruvians, the Colombians, the Vietnamese, the Afghans, the Mexicans, the Burmese. At the beginning of the semester, we were factions, and now we are this solidarity, what is this now? Whatever we do, it's a crime. Whatever they do, it's a justify. No more rights, nor fair fights, and they keep wearing us down. And we keep practicing our American in vain. We are the fruit rotting on the vine, and no one has a discerning eye. We are not to be picked. Once an old blonde woman with well-meaning in her eyes told me she didn't mind us being here. She lived in California since the 1960s, and I said my family has been here since before the revolution, and that I didn't mind her being here either. And she walked away in quick scowl confusion. Maybe they wouldn't mind if the red lines were still in the right place. The state, the estate. The spare room is ready to be headquarters and hideout. They are looking for some of us in all the wrong spaces. 2 days after the raid, and I couldn't put my finger on it. 3, and we could make a plan if we knew what is this now. My American does not concern you. I yell from the corner of Mar Vista and Ocean View. Go up Carmenita. There's a solitary food truck now left standing, no line. And they have the audacity to ask into this silence, what did Mexicans ever to contribute to Los Angeles? Its name, its landscape. It has already changed. The sidewalk came in after World War II, and it was strawberry fields forever, all the way down, all the way down, all the way down to the beach, past the old Dairy Queen, just strawberry fields, strawberries, strawberries to the beach. No, really, strawberries as far as the eye could see. And then the big metal crickets chirped in the dirt lots, chain link fence, oil, drum, beat it, all of it gone. All of it gone. All of it gone. Stealing is a way of life for them. Stealing the rolling hills, and we're on a roll, toll roads on unseceded land. Spanish Mission, Happy Indian, Okie Hick, and nothing. But we stand bent backed, accused of stealing jobs and anchoring ourselves to this here and now, this expensive dirt with babies and breadcrumbs, sound wall pink, battered car rust up towards the boulevard. Do they not know we've been here it's not even been a year. In my day, back in my day, everyone inside of summer in the heat with no air, our new normal obedience, different tune, and there was no air, humid, gray like Washington, like what Nazaki would have said. We bunker down, and this is not how grace is shed. We bunker down, ideology wed, to rapture our capture, the soft focus makeover of a thorny crown. What is this now? In Jordan, a wedding party watched the fireworks of missiles light the night sky. A man in the NPR interview says you just have to live for the day, for that one day where we all wake up and can one even describe this? Repeat after us. There is no such thing as a list of rich predators, as the possibility of being wrong. There is no longer a vaccine for that. We can die naturally, naturally. Complications from aging, like wrinkling, folding, decreasing, smooth like feathers. And who doesn't smell the drilling from sea to swollen sea? And who doesn't love a parade slouching towards a collective end, hoping a better country might someday be born? Thank you.
So I met Margaret a few years ago, 3 or 4 years ago at AWP, and one of the selling points that come to El Martillo Press is like we're working on a reading at City Lights, and so that was we've been working on this for a while. David, with his kind words, I forgot to mention like what an honor it is for us to be here, and we really owe it to all to Solomon Reno. We've been talking about this reading now for many years, and thank you so much to Solomon and to Peter for opening their doors to our press. It's really an honor to be here. It's an incredible thing. And the last time we were in San Francisco for something big was we were at the Jazz Museum when Paul S. Flores was receiving the American Book Award. And me and David, yeah, give it up. And then Paul, he mentioned us from there, and he was on C-SPAN, and me and David are such knuckleheads. David got excited, started like punching me, so I started punching him back. I'm like, David, stop fighting on C-SPAN. So, anyways, it's a huge honor to be here. The last time I read here was with Jack Hirschman, and like I learned so much of politics and poetry sitting at a round table over the specs, and I learned from Jack. So, round of applause for Jack Hirschman, the great Jack Hirschman, who really defined a lot of what we're doing here today. All right, so Paul Flores. Paul Flores is one of the most. The thing about Paul that I really want to. Let me read his bio and I'm going to say something. Paul Flores is one of the most influential Latino performance artists in the country and a nationally respected arts educator. As a San Francisco artist of Mexican and Cuban American heritage, Paul Flores has built a national reputation for interview based theater and bilingual spoken word. He integrates Latino and indigenous healing practices to tell stories of real people impacted by immigration and systemic inequalities. Flores' work has played across the United States, internationally in Cuba, Mexico, and El Salvador. Paul is the Doris Duke Artist Award winner and inaugural NALIC Catalyst for Change awardee. His commissions have come from Creative Capital, La Peña Cultural Center, MACLA, MAP Fund, Pregones Theater, National Performance Network, SF Arts Commission, Yerba Buena Center for the Arts, and many, many more. Flores is a theater and spoken word at the University of San Francisco. He teaches at the University of San Francisco. He's a teaching artist in creative writing with the Prison Arts Project at CMF in Vacaville and the San Quentin State Prison. He is a lead curator of Paseo Artístico, free bilingual community art stroll on 24th Street in the Mission District. His debut poetry collection, We Still Be, Poems and Performances, is a recipient of the 2024 American Book Award. He lives in San Francisco with his children. I just want to say that Paul, for many, many years, had really built his reputation as legend, and he trusted us, a just barely starting publication to come with. And I thank you so much, Paul, for trusting us. And I hope we've done half of what we promised. You're a legend. Please put your hands together for Paul Flores.
My empire of fog-crowned hills, through webs of electric muni line, that tang of Phil's roasted coffee grinds, scorched breath of San Francisco poets amidst passion of Juana Alicia, Roberto Vargas, Juan Felipe Herrera, legacy of Ginsberg, Kaufman, Diane de Prima, Devotion to its exotics, its rituals, its unions, and gangster politics, where a dancer can steal your heart and hold it for ransom at a gallery called Crucible Steel. This muse, more than just an obsession, more like a blood oath to embrace Carnaval, where even the most straight-laced will cross-dress for the sake of adventure. This is San Francisco's heartbeat. This is San Francisco's heartbeat. My homie's house burned down. My homie's house burned down, and we read poetry in the ashes. We raised some cash and his spirits with bottles of tequila, coronas, salted tears to quench harsh throats. We told jokes, and Marcus played hard bebop. Homie wailed for his dog, lost in the smoke of a broken pilot light-induced inferno. The poetry heals and the bebop revives. The poetry heals and the bebop revives. We never go softly into that dark night. This is San Francisco's heartbeat. This is San Francisco's heartbeat. They say blacks and Mexicans don't belong anymore. Can't afford to raise a family in a decent-sized home anymore. But Muni drivers are black and those jobs last forever. Latino teachers got white kids speaking Spanish. At least until Chicano becomes a four-letter word. If you peel the flyers from the telephone poles, you'll find broadsides. Broadsides protesting gentrification of the Guayabera. 1921, 21, 19-year-olds. My broadsides were bilingual when it was illegal. You know how to stop this flow? Poetry evangelist with contraband Mexican cigarettes by the pound. Yo soy delicado. We liberated public space con queso, con el tambor y el cheque con bass and saxophone with Jimmy Biala and Howard Wiley and Marcus Shelby and John Chang and Jenny Lim and Rodessa Jones. Rodessa Jones with bourbon and rum and smoking drum. We took Money Crudo to the tool shed and we made Relámpago Negro. That's Black Lightning. Relámpago Negro. Enrique Quique Padilla. This is San Francisco's heartbeat. This is San Francisco's heartbeat. Everybody always asks me. Everybody want to know. What's so good about San Francisco? It's the poets. It's the poets. It's the poets. It's the crazy, drunk, loud-ass poets from the Mission, from North Beach, from Chinatown, from Hunters Point, from Bayview. I wasn't born here, but I ain't no tourist. And I know my way around. Broke so many hearts, but keep coming back for more. We speak easy at Bruno's in the corner of the bar. Her strapless Latin swing with strapless dress and high heels. She brown skin, so beautiful. Want her to wear my ring. Represent a swagger with mestizo babies in a sling. We jazz fest in North Beach with tapas on the grass. We festival in Stern Grove. We carnival. We Baker Beach, and our babies growing so fast. And we like to shoot on Instagram, on Facebook, on Google, on Snapchat. The Bay Area got them all. San Francisco is our heart. Many come to claim her throne, and many move to Oakland. Home is where I'm loved the most. So rise, San Francisco, like trolley train over Pacific Heights. We look to you for inspiration when life is about struggle. You make it possible to desire something different. You make it possible to believe. Because we still believe. Yes, we still believe. Yes, we still believe. Yes, we still believe. Because we still be, 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 we still be. The heartbeat of San Francisco. I like Miguel Piñero. That's one of my biggest influences. In fact, most of the Nuyorican are my biggest influences. Some of the first to really perform poetry as a theatrical, musical, ethnic platform. I love that. So a lot of my work comes from the 70s. Sounds like the 70s mixed with a little bit of, hip hop. So you might hear some soul music, you might hear some singing. That's just me paying homage. I don't think I'm a great singer or nothing. It's just that there are poets I like, and I want to emulate them and continue their traditions. And Miguel Pinedo, Victor Hernandez Cruz, Jane Cortez, folks like that, they got a big influence in me. So music is big. So John Jang's here. Thank you, John, for showing up today and giving us all the legacy of jazz that you've given. I'm going to read Cages later, okay? So get your piano. Where is it at? I do think that El Martillo is making a lot of waves, and it's important, first of all, that there's like 15 or 16 titles now in 2 years. Give them a round of applause for that. That's huge. Tiny ass press by two dudes like this, and they're pushing work not only locally or regionally, but internationally. And I think that that's beautiful. It reminds me of Jack Hirschman and a lot of the work that he did connecting international poets. I performed several times in the International Poetry Festival here in San Francisco with Jack. It was a lot of fun to hear people busting in Italian and Romanian or Persian, whatever. They would throw all kinds of people up there, and I liked that about him and the work that he did to make solidarity. Solidarity is huge for me. I think it's one of the reasons why I write. I want to represent everybody that I can, and those who don't get represented that much. So I feel very at home here. This is not the first time I read it at City Lights, but it's definitely a memorable moment, especially right now with shit going on in the world. So thank you, City Lights, for having us. One more time for City Lights. It's a beautiful place. Thank God I live in San Francisco. Thank God this is part of my backyard. So welcome to my backyard, all you LA folks. Just wanted to do that first poem so you could be welcomed. Didn't I feel unloved already before I knew what love was? Didn't I feel unloved already before I knew what love was? No one likes to deal with heartbreak. Wonder if you should shoot yourself sometimes, shoot yourself sometimes, shoot yourself sometimes, knowing it's gone. Broken from the inside. Family is broken from the inside. Not what you dreamed it would be. Children won't see you in bed together anymore. No family heirlooms to pass down to grandchildren. No family photos on the walls. No family vacations anticipated. No long anniversary gatherings. Divorce. For one child means the other is either in crisis or no part of the solution. The reason must be balance is burden. Come together now, all for forced codependence. Didn't I? Single parenting feels like raising a ghost family. Not what you dreamed it would be. Broken from the inside out. Like someone poked a tiny hole in your balloon from the inside out. A slow deflation. A slow spinning airless chamber, a slow death, and you will cry. La Llorona invites you, baptizes you in ghost tears, too heavy to float, too heavy to float. The ghost in you invites her embrace, ready to attach yourself to someone to sleep on the cold side of the bed. Didn't I? Nobody is clean and free of heartbreak. No one escapes the past. Isn't everybody wounded? Isn't every relationship an effect of the one before? Didn't my father leave me? Didn't he break my heart already? Didn't I feel unloved already? Before I knew what love was. No one likes to deal with a broken heart. Thank you. This is for David Romero. I used to read this poem when I wasn't there to promote my book. So I always remember him reading and getting a kick out of it. Makes me laugh. Because I wouldn't have read this. Honestly, this was not one of the poems I ever thought about reading live until I saw this fool go up in front of people. And he reading my poem out of my book to say, hey, buy this book. And I'm like, hey, he likes that poem and people like it too. So here it is. It's called Pepsi Kiss. And the book is in 3 parts. The first part of the book is like basically 10, 12 poems that I basically performed all over as a spoken word poet on the spoken word circuit and, you know, kind of made a name for myself. So they're like the celebration of identity poems. And then like the middle part is a memoir, which is kind of like, you know, how did I become the person I am? What have I endured? Where does the inspiration come to write the poems? Who am I? And the third part, which I'll read before I leave, is about a solidarity between Asian and Latino immigration communities. But this one's Pepsi Kiss. I was 12 years old the first time, standing on her doorstep, saying goodbye to Cassandra before her mama called her in from the block. She put her arms around my neck. I went numb everywhere except my mouth. Well, her tongue flipped mine over. I thought I heard waves crashing on the shore. Until I noticed I spilled the can of Pepsi I had been holding while we were kissing. It was soda running over my Vans. She giggled and said goodbye. But Cassandra held my 12-year-old life in her kiss. I stood there, frozen in a pool of fizzled brown soda, unable to recognize myself. 2 weeks later, she went for the older dude across the street. Skater boy, 14 with golden hair, who could fight to show he was no punk. They kissed in front of me in his front yard after a game of 2-on-2 football. I went home and played Michael Jackson, She's Out of My Life. Over and over in my room. And I cried that humid, never-ending summer. Yes, laugh at my heartbreak. Seems to be that's the best way to deal with it sometimes. So yeah, like I said, the second part was as a memoir about myself, and the third part is a collaboration that John Jang and I created called Cages, a way to interrogate history. And the piece is really just kind of like analyzing the intersections of struggles around immigration and immigrant rights in the Asian and Latino community. But also it's kind of like a personal story about John, which is weird. You know, I wrote a poem that includes John Jang's family history, but also his wife's, Joyce's, who's Japanese. So it's interesting conversation about jazz and politics and personal history. Jazz music is really liberation music, a way to interrogate history. Chinese built the railroad, Japanese American farmers in the West. Mexican land is 1/4 of the U.S. 1848 Jack movements, the border crossed us. Who's America? Stolen at gunpoint, hunted at Walmart, for being brown in Texas, club without a pulse in Orlando, a bloody concert in Las Vegas. Country music is no consolation. U.S. music institutions are repressive and racist. Can't sing the national anthem without pointing a gun. Whose notes are purposefully impossible for me to hit? Jazz breaks me out of racial oppression. Jazz breaks me out of racial oppression. Jazz was a slave name. Black people did not call it jazz. A way to interrogate history. A way to interrogate history. 1882 Chinese Exclusion Act. 1908 Chinese paper sons rise like the phoenix. Jiang, born out of the great San Francisco earthquake, and Wu burned in the fire. Who? Jiang. Wu? Jiang. Who? Jiang. Wu? Jiang. 1910, Angel Island Chinese Detention Center, intensive traumatic interrogations in 1914, 1916, 1921, 1933, and 1934. 1942, Japanese incarceration. Many Japanese Americans were incarcerated in concentration camps without due process. Tan Foran Mall used to be a racetrack. Government transformed the horse stables to imprison thousands of innocent Japanese Americans. 1945, released from prison camps in Arizona only to live in a renovated chicken coop. 2014, Obama administration built the Customs and Border Patrol Processing Center to hold 1,500 Central American immigrants in Texas. The Border Patrol used chain link fence to separate men from women and children. American in cages only. American in cages only. 2018, President Trump zero-tolerance immigration policy separated babies and children from their mothers. Children in cages by themselves. Children in cages by themselves before deporting their mothers. American in cages only. For the sons of paper sons who fly too close to the sun, for the sons of paper sons who got good jobs, can afford to fly across the country in the 1950s, can afford to buy a house in the suburbs, but still must be interrogated first by the FBI. Senator Joe McCarthy doesn't believe in Chinese American success. For the sons of paper sons who fly too close to the sun, his Jewish friend and co-worker had to buy the house for him. Chinese still couldn't buy a house in an all-white neighborhood. For the sons of paper sons who fly too close to the sun, there's always a fire to fall from. People are on boats. People clinging to planes, crossing the desert to survive. 13,000 Black Caribbeans and Haitians living under a bridge in Mexico waiting to cross the Rio Grande into Del Rio, Texas. The Border Patrol on horseback waiting for them on the other side. We build a wall to keep us free. We build a wall to keep us free. American in cages only. Thank you all. Thank you, El Martillo.
Oh man, incredible reading from the legend Paul Flores. You know, Paul Flores is also one of the founding members of a poetry group called Los Delicados, and we have another member in the house, Norman Zelaya, who's going to be featured in El Martillo Press next year. He's got a book coming with us next year, so a round of applause. One more for Paul Flores. And then Norman gets some that love too. All right, so speaking of legends, this is such an honor. It's surreal to even talk about it, but next year we have a book coming out with Lorna Dee Cervantes. Can you believe that? Can you believe that? So Lorna Dee Cervantes, I want to echo what Solomon said earlier, that Lorna Dee Cervantes is read all over the world, but this is her first time here at City Lights. So let's give it up for that we are seeing a world premiere of Lorna Dee Cervantes here at City Lights Bookstore. correcting historical anomaly. Okay, here we go. Born in San Francisco, raised in San Jose, Barrio Horseshoe, Lorna Cervantes was a self-taught activist by 15, taught herself how to run her own printing press, and was a founding editor, publisher of Mango Publications at 20, and the author of the American Book Award-winning Emplumada at 24. A Chicanx poet, Chumash and Purepecha, Cervantes, PhD, ABD, History of Consciousness, was a professor of English for 20 years at the University of Colorado Boulder. Serving as the director of creative writing. Cervantes has held faculty positions at the University of Houston, the University of California, Berkeley, where she has served as the UC Regents lecturer of the English department and as a visiting writer at Yale, Vassar, and others. Awarded 2 NEA fellowships, 2 Pushcart prizes, a Lily Wallace Reader's Digest Award, a States Arts Grant, and numerous awards for 6 books of poetry, including a recent April on Olympia. Cervantes has presented her poetry in over hundreds of campuses, venues, and countries over the past 50 years. Her poems have appeared in hundreds of anthologies and publications, Norton, Heath, Penguin Poetry. Her newest, Fire Poems Against Pandemic, is forthcoming from El Martillo Press in 2026. Put your hands together for the living legend, Lorna Cervantes.
The new book. Here's the afterword, the postscript of Fire, Poems Against Pandemic. When the mountain doesn't last, the volcano will. And this is an ekphrastic poem from that manuscript. It's after a painting by Jake Prendes, and Still I Rise. And the poem is called And I Still Rise. And it begins with a quote from Romero. This painting is a 6-year-old girl, Mexicana, who's got monarch butterfly wings. And she's rising like the Virgin over a crowd holding placards and signs saying, "Dirty Mexican, go back to where you came from," and all of these horrible things. There are all these men, mostly, shaking their fist at this girl rising. So that's the painting. And it begins with a quote from Romero, one of the prominent Mexican poets. He is also the world's expert on the monarch butterfly. A una mariposa monarca, tú que vas por el día como un tigre alado quemándote en tu vuelo. And I still rise. Mariposa, 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 mar y pos. A sea they crossed, an ocean away to get to us. Mariposa, monarch, meaning queen, reina. I watch them try to flush your flash of red wing, piel, the color of sunset. A strike against the sky, you butterfly, unfurling your wings of truth against the lies that we are thieves, whores, rapists, and murderers. We of the land between 2 great waters. Before these plexiglass, epoxied concrete cages, before we were plucked and silenced, frozen in an artificial land bridge from ourselves. Our history, a matter of fallen feathers, claw prints, our footprints in 50,000-year-old clay, bones into fossilized stone. our indigenous American values of humility, compassion, temperance, and perseverance, seen us through 7 generations of our grandmother, si se puede, though they tell us to go back to where we came from. We are the butterflies of the new world. We still rise. We return to where we're from, and I still rise through the lies, though they brand me animal and dirt. I still rise. Before borders, the pathways were clear. We are not this migration. We are the land. Abiayala, niña, mariposa, sol y mar, y pos ni modo. You are the heart of the people who were always here, the rest of us coming home. Mariposa, maripos, a cruzando on a dream, dreamer, in a new dawn of dreamers. Yet we arise, and I still rise, because they cannot douse us with their chubascos of hate, of so much nada, with words emptied of history, the sheen and gleam not giving out in the rise and shine of knowing where we are is where we've always been. Como mariposas, mariposa, mar y pos, us, resilient and resisting by insisting. And I have some chapbooks of 2 docu-poems, very long poems. These are $15. It's a reprint of a chapbook that came out 20 years ago and limited 100 copies. So I have this available. And the poem came out, it's called Coffee. It's a long 10-page poem. It takes a half an hour to read, so I won't read the whole thing. Although I did at the Galeria de la Raza one time. But this poem all in this anthology, look what I did about your silence. So Coffee 10-page poem is in this anthology, along with international poets besides U.S. poets. So this is the last section of Coffee, and it's based on, the poem goes all over the world. It starts in Guatemala, but it's about the massacre that took place in Actial in Chiapas in the mid-90s. And it's a very heavy poem. All of the docu-poems, I have 5 of them that I've been working on, a series of docu-poems. And the first starts with a lyric, then a historical account, then an account from the Amnesty International. And anyway, so this is the last section where it comes back to me, the poet. 7. No more genocide in my name. A young girl in trenzas sings outside the Mexican consulate in Denver. Go back to where you came from, shouts a car of gringos speeding down memory lane and is nearly drowned out by the ritual drums and the native chants. First world faces sing out above the placards like severed heads or scalps. No more genocide in Guatemala, in Colombia, in El Salvador, Chile, Sand Creek, Palestine, Wounded Knee, not with arms, not with training, not with money, no more of my tax dollars that buys the man who drives the Humvee, that transports the soldier who shoots the weapon, that blinds the toddler, that enters the heart of Guadalupe Lopez Mendez, who dies in Ocosingo asserting her civil rights. No more genocide in my name. We shall not overcome. We shall fight this way forever. Estas son mis armas, la computadora, el video, la pluma. La plumaje de justicia hangs from the broken arrows of palabras, breaking the media block of truth and consequences of free trade agreements. Horrific to read, to imagine, to know, to tell. But the only end to bullets for profit is knowledge. Knowledge that will not appear wedged between commercials for taster's choice and nobody doesn't like Sara Lee. Like the living body of an indigenous child found 2 days after a massacre in a bullet-ridden cave. Is this any way to fight a drug war? Coffee, sugar, chocolate, cattle. Nestles. Nestle's makes the very best murder. 310 kilos of cocaine are found in Mazatán, the municipality where the governor, Julio Cesar Ruiz Ferro, has 2 large mansions, a ranch with 100-hectare banana plantation, and is building a luxury hotel with 100 suites, underground parking, boat dock, restaurant, bar, and disco. Revenue from taxing an impoverished indigenous population was good this year. Meanwhile, the Mexican Red Cross sends contaminated and expired drugs to the thousands of refugees dying of exposure, pneumonia, and other infections in the frigid mountains. Nestle's makes the very best murder. 15 billion served, ground flesh for the masses. I will grind Zapatista coffee with the tongues of witness. I will wear the huipil and honor the mothers. I will write the dark into dawn. I will sit in the offices, shut down the lying dog press, picket the Congress into action. I will not bank with assassins. I will buy Crafts, not Kraft, Nestle's, Procter and Gamble, McDonald's, Sara Lee. I will fight this way forever. Estas son mis armas, la computadora, el video, la pluma. A culture isn't vanquished until the hearts of its mothers are lying on the ground. I will fight this way forever. I will say, I will fight this way forever. I will pay. I will fight this way forever. I will pray. Amen. Y con zafos. Thank you. God.
All right, one more round of applause for Lorna Dee Cervantes. All right, so how does one follow Lorna Dee Cervantes, the great? Our final reader for the evening is Tshaka Campbell. Originally from London, England, Tshaka was raised on his father's teachings of solidarity and brought up on orators the likes of Garvey's Pan-Africanism to William Churchill. As such, he adopted his father's intense love of language. Tshaka began writing poetry long before performing it, in an attempt to find his own voice and point of view within the art form. As a performer, he is recognized as an accomplished artist internationally, and performance accolades include not only being a member of the New Yorican National Poetry Slam team and the Poetry Lounge Slam team, but also earning the Grand Champion title in San Francisco and Hollywood. He has also been honored with the UK Unsigned Artist Award in Poetry. Tshaka is the first Black Santa Clara County Poet Laureate and has authored Tarman, Muted Whispers, Stuff I Will Write More, Tunnel Vision, and Blood at the Root, and in Nkisi, published by Martillo Press. His words have been featured in Bridges Review, BBC UK, Content Magazine, Speak Easy, Volume 1, Liminal, Animals, Rigorous, among others. Tshaka has toured a number of US cities and across the globe, featuring at venues such as the legendary Apollo Theatre and O2 in London, England. He currently resides in San Jose and continues to ask the world to listen different. Now, one last thing I got to say about Tshaka is Tshaka is an old friend of mine. I actually started at the Poetry Lounge, and Tshaka was already a legend there, and I was just a baby, just a baby. And you know, a lot of poets who are as accomplished as Tshaka are, you know, real jerks, real just monsters, just egomaniacs. And Tshaka was so kind, so supportive. And he is that way. He continues to be that way with every young poet that he meets. And he's a supporter of poetry. He's actually organizing a huge poetry event tomorrow with the legend Patricia Smith. So, my God, the builder of community, first Black Santa Clara County Poet Laureate. Give it up for Tshaka Campbell.
What's going on, San Francisco? Oh, that's bullshit. How we doing? Okay, that's better. All right, so look, I've got some poems. I've got that whole bio I got to cut down because it's like I like words. And I'm gonna do a couple poems. I'm gonna talk a little fast, number one, because I'm from New York, number two, because I've always wanted to read here. And so I'm going to read every goddamn poem I've ever written. Still going to go fast. But the last time I was in San Francisco was the day I found out my dad passed. And I came to an event like this and the room held me. So I start my shows with just doing a little poem for my dad to honor him. This is called Ashes. You left and they called you by before. You was black as hard smoke, and I became a room lit by a flame that forgets to dance. But memory ain't shadow, it's ember, and it warms the silence when grief forgets how to pray. I'm not always religious, but I hold your name like a lantern of memories, fragile, glowing, still burning every dream where your return is wind. Thank you. Thank you. That's for Dad. Okay, so I got a couple poems. Now, this book that these two wonderful gentlemen have given me the honor of publishing within their walls. It's been a long time coming. I've been writing this really for my daughter. It's called Blood at the Root. It's for my daughter. There's books like Book of Love, Book of Fire, Book of Escape, etc., etc. And it's something that I wanted to leave for her. But it took me a long time to give myself permission to end the book. Any parents out there, sort of, you've got everything straight at 5, and then, at 5 and 2 days, there's something different, and 5 and 10 days, there's something different. And so I finally gave myself to permission to finish the book. And so this is what we have here. However, I'm going to start a poem that was supposed to be in a book, but because I procrastinated, it didn't really get into the book. But that's another story for another day. This is called The Country Rehearses Yesterday. America walks backwards with a grin full of broken teeth, dancing moonwalk steps into graves it promised were closed. We mistake the shuffle for progress, forget the choreography of chains was always written in the fine print. You hear it. You hear it. Sirens hum like old hymns rehearsed too often, while textbooks pull the red from their pages and swallow history whole and call it neutrality. The ballot box tilts, a coffin that whispers compromise. Monuments gleam with lies and bronze faces polished smooth, but underneath bones still hum names that rise like smoke. I've seen the children. I've seen the children practice silence in hallways, their small hands raised like broken branches as if surrender was a second language taught before hope. And still we drum. We drag light into the square. Our tongues shape songs that remember what the country is trying to forget. They sharpen nostalgia into weapons and call it great again. But we know forward lives in our marrow, in the way we say each other's names, in the way we refuse to let the grave be the final word. See, this backwoods is a merriment of Kafka, a country folding itself, a flag at half-mast but upside down. What you call progress will always be a rented suit stitched in cheap, meant to split at the seams once the camera's left. Welcome back, y'all. It's cozy within these walls. We all comfy where children practice lockdown drills, where textbooks that erase the very blood their desks are built on. This is what it means to moonwalk history, to dance backwards and call it choreography. And the sirens rehearse the same old gospel song, and the streets are crowded with the echoes of names that never should have been hashtags. We wanted tomorrow, but the country bargains for yesterday, sharpening its teeth on nostalgia, dragging us into a graveyard of great again. And still the people carry drums, and still the people drags their sunrise into the squares. The people dare to shout through the smoke, because even when the nation runs backwards, we are the ones who remember forward. And the pendulum still swings. It still swings like rope, like Trey Reed reciting a swing song in the Delta. They say the soil has hardened, where once feet thundered like drums against the neck of silence, that the bonnets of hope now tattered flap in the wind, crown cruel with forgetting. Like 5 years ago, the blood of one man flowed like ink across the conscience of a nation, and from that stain 1,000 voices rose, not in vengeance, no, but rather in the trembling clarity of truth. What dawned as a harvest of reckoning now lays beneath executive orders, rewritten histories, and the cold machinery of backlash, the same hands that once promised inclusion, now erase the names from doors, returning diversity to the shadows as if justice were a passing fashion and not the marrow of a nation's soul. Yet do not mistake the hush for surrender, y'all. The storm has simply moved underground. It blooms now in courtrooms, whispers in classrooms, and takes root in the places spotlights do not shine, for there are seeds that do not die in the winter, they wait. The elder's voice echo in the chamber. Progress is not a river, it's a pendulum, and though it has swung backward, it is gathering momentum. For each retreat writes a deeper yearning into the spirit of the people. Behold the quiet warriors, those who boycott with dignity, who build tools not of war but of weakness, who carry the gospel of vigilance from corner to corner, from cousin to courthouse. They are not marching, they are tending, they are not shouting, they are shaping. For the revolution is no longer televised, but it is happening, angled in every refusal to forget, in every name remembered, in every black child still taught to stand without apology. Oh, oh, beloved land of contradictions, do you not know? Do you not know you cannot kill the dream that lives in the hearts of those who have been both the ashes and the architects? The America that rose for Floyd and others may have vanished from the headlines, but she did not die. She became seed. And even now, beneath the bitter season, she is reaching for spring. Thank you. Thank you. We're in some very, very difficult times, so it's apropos. Now back to the book. The sections that, like I said, there's multiple sections here. The parts I want to talk about right now, and I don't know why it's probably relevant because she pissed me off a little while ago. She's 15, by the way, going on 35. This is online. No, she didn't piss me off. Wait. That never happened. Yeah, so there's a couple of warnings in here. We talk about love, we talk about pain. There's also loss and confusion, right? And with relationships. So this one's called Entropy. If you ain't loving me, I figured everybody else was singing, so I'm gonna sing too. You know what I mean? If you ain't loving me, then I ain't loving you too. You said you'd never leave me. You said you'd never go away. But if you ain't loving me, yeah, then I ain't loving you too. Take this whole ache back to whence you imagined it. Back to the moment it grew such ugly nothing from its tiny mouth. See, this empty space been loving you haunted since then. So now how do I wear this currency now that my back is twice broken without you here? I am no good. I am no good riding this pedestal imagination in support of a wish. Stay. I mean, don't waste your time on reasons we can't warrant. There's nothing to prove here, just a shipwreck promise we agreed not to salvage. Please come back to where you belong. I want to hold you. I want to hold you. I want to hold you straight jacket caress. Bank this sensation till we are complex fractions, 4/8 of a whole, half you, me, and I can't manage us apart. Please come back to where you belong. We are fading everywhere. A kiss once resembled fate is now just simple wet. The flood around us will not be parted red sea, and that's all you got to do to make it. Just imitate the wind, and I'll leave the windows ajar. Please come back to where you belong. See, we're at Vegas, We're Vegas walking away from the light, blinking a sandstorm. But if you don't love me, then I don't love you too. Please. If you don't want me, then I don't want you to. Stay, please. I mean, you lied, right? You said you'd never leave. Please don't go. Well, leave. Leave this umbilical clasp. Electric riff tied to your heart. Our music played in watts. We were a half-dug well, quenching temporary that swallowed forever thirsty. But if you don't love me, then I don't love you too. Please. I screwed entropy into our conversations. And I asked you for an explanation of why you answer to pain in a language I don't understand. And I want to understand. I want to understand our undertones, our yous and we's. But if you listen, you hear that we point fingers, that we're rejection like auction blocks, like old furniture labeled antique. Please, stay. Please. But if you must go, then go. Go. I never wanted you anyway. This was a rift love, a slit between two wanderers. You arrived detached and typical me, glue stick heart, hugging your demons. I fell head first. These quicksand feet will be the death of us. Have already led to the death of us. Please, stay. But if you ain't loving me, then I ain't loving you too. Thank you. Thank you. So, like I said, there's a couple poems in there that I deal with so many different parts of life, and so it's just this thing I want to leave for her. But you know, that being said, we need the fire too, right? Our daughters need the fire. So to the girls that reject the whisper, to the opted out of the co-opted rhetoric, be the naysayer to a grace not of your own design. Be all the smear and polished onyx seeping your flesh, the expunged skin to their humble. Girls of bone and chant, women of call and respond, continue, I repeat, continue repeatedly, despite their ask for placid when unraveling the noose set at your doorsteps. Surrender to what feels natural, like home. Welcome the kindling your belly turns into fire, even as the analysis of your character descends into mere adjectives, despite their daughter of the Confederacy and curtsy and bow. Not today, country. Tell them, not today, country. Today, be your own country. Borders drawn in your own image. Today, be the soaked tsunami and wipe your mouth with all the ancestry your victory can muster. Today, be seen celebration. Be your own archangel rising. Today, stretch the double talk and the double standing into a single purpose. Stand in the light till you are full and full and full and feel all of your parts as familiar to you as you can reach into. And if that's where you need to break bread with joy, with pain, with anger, with strain, with lock, with pull, scratch, dig, let it be so. Because you can. And you are unapologetically you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, so like I said, tons of poems in there, but I am going to end with sort of the title poem for this book. It's a much longer poem, so I'm going to cut in halfway. But here we go. You guys still okay?
Yeah.
Okay. This story is a black man looking through his great-grandmother's torture to find his daughter in salvation, bitter crop. This here is brown man daddy speak. Tongue trying to pull repentance from a distant scream, paused to silent, blood on the leaves. I am a man only because of the war You fought behind the front line to be seen, strange fruit. We be strange fruit, hanging right before the last breath. Watching glory in a honeysuckle spread across a street full of brown women whose drown is sorrow because they will be forced to be emptied by these men who choose to let your human slip under their gaze and expect to be past your ribs as walking sticks. This be a daddy in prayer. Eyes already removed and written into eulogy, so his daughter will always be seen first because he's scared. Every day, y'all, I'm scared because he's terrified. Because he will not always be there to guard her ribs. Because when the midnight calls him home, he dreams about conversing with the soil, digging her placenta into the roots of ancestors for guidance, afraid that he'll find some drama from 1984 and mix it into her bones, walking her into naive, a kickstand to less than, I understand this world, less than I did 20 years ago, shit, less than I did 20 minutes ago, and I'm trying to be present for her. I'm trying to be present in how she will have to master its language, but its dialect speaks in time, and what were hours are now minutes in 1 second. Blood is the root. There's so much to learn her. Just learn her about life, about her kinfolk, and things akin to her folk, like how to strum pain into song. Like how her laugh is a full moon to nights where there are no stars, like how to beat her grandfather at Kittim, not to mention spades, and how to read books like rosemary beads, fingers pressed between the sermons, this, her dark continent, Pangeaed and leaking us. I wish her to fear not her own blood, but that her kind fostered the quarrel between breath, that the earth cried twice at her birth, once because of the impact that she will bring, then second because it realized the impact that she will bring. Black, brown woman, learn how to paint the blood in the leaves till red-mouthed, a pigment darker than your faith. Chew the leaves, blood and all, like bittles saged into a paste and beat it into a liquid. You spread across your knuckles to break fist about your own midsection before allowing them to barter even one of your ribs' bitter breath. I dare you to sing a song a brown body testifying to itself would, if it could, be unapologetic to its own flaws. To love hard first. And when they rumor you a mixture of black and ugly, then in that same vein, in the vein of that same hate, to love yourself even harder, strange fruit. Splattered mouth. All undressed and rebelled out, do not pull at yourself. Girl, make them discover that love is a birthright that been cracked into those same ribs they let pass your gaze long ago. And long ago, your mama and hers before abandoned themselves inside of you, not for reason, but for cause. Black, brown, woman, women, you are the blood at the root. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.